Hello guys, this is Arvind here from Edureka and I welcome you all to this session on Git Interview Questions. So before we move any further, let us have a quick look at the agenda for today's session. We will start this session by the beginner's level of interview questions, then we will proceed to the intermediate level questions, and finally we will conclude with the advanced level of interview questions asked on Git. I hope I'm clear with the agenda guys, pretty simple. And just a reminder, in case you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do subscribe and also click on the bell icon so that you never miss an update from Edureka. So without any further delay, let us begin with our first topic, that is the basic level of or the beginner level of interview questions. So the first question is, what is Git? Git is a distributed version control system. It lets you track changes made to a file and allows you to revert back to any particular change that you wish to. It is a distributed architecture that provides many advantages over other version control systems like the SVN. One of the major advantages is that it does not rely on a central server to store all the versions of a project's files. So what happens in Git is, instead every developer clones a copy of a repository, as you can see in this diagram, and he has the full history of the project available on his hard drive. So whenever there is a server outage, all you need to do is just copy one of your teammates' local Git repository and bang, you have the code on your system. So there is one central cloud repository where the developers can commit changes and share them with the other team members. So this is what Git is in a nutshell. So the next question is, what is a distributed version control system? So these are the systems that don't rely on a central server to store a project file and all its versions. You can see the diagram that is on your slide right now. In a distributed version control system, every contributor can get a local copy or a clone of the main repository. Here, every programmer can maintain a local repository, which is actually the copy or the clone of the central repository, which is present on their hard drive. So developers can commit and update their local repository without any hassles. With an operation called pull, they can update their local repositories with the new data from the central server, and pull operation affects changes to the main repository from their local repository. The next question is, what are the advantages of using a version control system? So with version control system, all the team members are allowed to work freely on any file at any given time. Version control system gives you the flexibility to merge all the changes into a common version. All the previous versions and variants are neatly packed up inside the version control system or the VCS. You can request any version at any time as per your requirement, and you'll have a snapshot of the complete project right at your hand. So whenever you save a new version of your project, your VCS requires you to provide a short description of the changes that you have made. Additionally, you can see what changes are made in the file's content. This helps you know what changes have been made in the project and by whom. Finally, a distributed version control system like Git allows the team members to have a complete history of the project, so that if there is a breakdown in the central server, you can use any of your teammates' local Git repository. So these were a few advantages of using the version control system. The next question is, what is the difference between Git and SVN? So Git is a decentralized version control tool, whereas SVN is a centralized version control tool. Git belongs to the third generation of the version control tools, whereas SVN belongs to the second generation of the version control tools. So what happens in Git is, clients can clone entire repositories on their local systems, whereas in SVN, version history is stored on the server side of the repository. In Git, commits are possible even if you're offline, whereas in SVN, only online commits are allowed. So in Git, the push and pull operations are comparatively faster, whereas in SVN, the push-pull operations are comparatively slower. Git works are shared automatically by commit command, whereas in SVN, nothing is shared automatically. So these were a few differences that you can mention in this question. Okay, so the next question is, what is the difference between Git and GitHub? So as we have already seen, Git is a version control system of distributed nature that is used to track changes in the source code during software development. So Git aids in coordinating work among programmers, but it can be used to track changes in any set of files. So the main objectives of Git are speed, data integrity, support for distributed nonlinear workflows. Whereas GitHub is a Git repository hosting service, plus it adds many of its own features. So GitHub provides a web-based graphical interface. It also provides access control and several collaboration features, basic task management tools for every project. So the next question is, what language is used in Git? So here, instead of just telling the name of the language, you should also mention the reason for using this language as well. So Git uses C language. Git is fast and C language makes this possible by reducing the overhead of run times associated with high-level languages. The next question is, mention the various Git repository hosting functions. The following are the main Git repository hosting functions, as you can see on the slide: GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, SourceForge, and Git Enterprise. And as per my opinion, the GitHub is the most popular among these options. So the next question is, what is a repository in Git? So repository in Git is a place where Git stores all the files. So Git can store all the files either on the local repository or on the remote repository. The next question is, what is a bare repository in Git? So a bare repository in Git contains information about the version control and no working files, and it doesn't contain the special .git subdirectory. Instead, it contains all the contents of the .git subdirectory directly in the main directory itself, whereas the working directory consists of two things. The first one is a .git subdirectory with all Git related revision history of your repository, and the second one is a working tree or checked out copies of all your project files. The next question is, what is a commit message? So a commit message is nothing but an information that you provide along with the command called commit, so that you're aware of what exactly that change the developer or the programmer is doing while committing any operation or any change. So as you can see here, the syntax for commit messages: git commit, the option, and the message that you want to write. So the next question is, explain some basic Git commands. So as you can see here on the slide, these are the various commands, some basic Git commands that you should be aware of. So the first command is the git init command. As we have already seen what is a repository in Git, so this command is used to create a new local repository. The next command is the git status command. So this command lists the files that you have changed and those you need to add or commit. The next command is git clone. So this command creates a working copy of a local repository, and the syntax is git clone and the URL. The next command is the git add command. So this command adds one or more files to the staging area of Git. So what exactly is staging area? We will see in the subsequent part of this session. The next command is git commit command. As we have seen previously what commit message is, that time we discussed just one thing about the commit command. So this command commits any files you have added with git add and also commits any files you have changed since then. And the syntax is pretty much simple: git commit and the option. The next command is git push origin master. So this command sends changes to the master branch of your remote repository. So these are some basic commands that you can explain. So the next question is, how do you fix a broken commit? So in order to fix any broken commit, you can use the command git commit -- amend. So when you run this command, you can fix the broken commit message in the editor. So the next question is, what is a conflict in Git? So Git can handle on its own most merges by using its automatic merging features. There arises a conflict when two separate branches have made edits to the same line in a file, or when a file has been deleted in one branch but it has been edited in the other branch. So conflicts are most likely to happen when working in a team environment. The next question is, how do you resolve a conflict in Git? So you can refer the diagram for more information about this question. So there are a few steps that you need to follow to resolve a conflict in Git. The first step is identify the files that have caused the conflict. In the second step, you make the necessary changes in the files so that the conflict does not arise again. In the third step, you add these files by using the command git add. And finally, to commit the changed file, use the command git commit. So these were the 4 steps that you need to follow to resolve a conflict in Git. The next question is, how do you revert a commit that has already been pushed and made public? So there can be 2 approaches to tackle this question, and you must include both the approaches in your answer because any one of them can be used depending upon the situation. So the first approach is remove or fix the bad file in a new commit and then push it to the remote repository. This is the most obvious way to fix an error. Once you have made the necessary changes to the file, then commit it to the remote repository using the command git commit -m and the commit message. In the second approach, you can create a new commit that undoes all the changes that were made in the bad commit. To do this, you need to use one command called git revert. So we will talk about git revert in the subsequent part of this session. Syntax for git revert is very simple. So git revert and the name of the commit or the commit ID. The next question is, what is subgit? So subgit is a tool for SVN to Git migration. It can create a writable Git mirror of a local or a remote subversion repository and use both subversion and Git as long as you like. Now you can also include some of the advantages, like you can do a fast one-time import from subversion to Git or use subgit with Atlassian Bitbucket server. We can use subgit to create a bidirectional Git SVN mirror of an existing subversion repository. You can push to Git or commit to subversion as per your convenience. Synchronization will be done by subgit. So the next question is, what is the difference between git pull and git fetch? Git pull command pulls new changes or commits from a particular branch from your central repository and updates your target branch in your local repository. Whereas git fetch is used for the same purpose, but it works in a slightly different way. When you perform a git fetch, it pulls all new commits from the desired branch and stores it in a new branch in your local repository. If you want to reflect these changes in your target branch, git fetch must be followed with a git merge. So in this case, your target branch will only be updated after merging the target branch and the fetched branch. So just to make it very simple for you, there's one equation that you must remember. So git pull equal to git fetch plus git merge. So what is the staging area or the index in Git? Before completing the commits, any change can be formatted and reviewed in an intermediate area known as the staging area or the index. So you can refer the diagram on your slide for more reference. So this will give you a clear-cut idea of what exactly is the staging area. The next question is, what is the use of Git InstaWeb? Git InstaWeb is used to automatically direct a web browser and run a web server with an interface into your local repository. So now we will have a look at the intermediate level of interview questions. So the next question is, what is Git isTree? So Git isTree represents a tree object including the mode and the name of the each item and the SHA-1 value of the blob or the tree. The next question is, what is Git stash? So in this question, you should first explain the need for Git stash. So often when you have been working on part of your project, things are in a messy state and you want to switch branches for some time to do something else. So the problem here is you don't want to do a commit of half done work just so that you can get back to this point later. So to solve this issue, there is one provision called git stash. So stashing takes your working directory, that is your modified track files, and stage changes and saves it on a stack of unfinished changes that you can reapply at any time. The next question is, what is the function of git stash apply? So as we have seen previously, if you want to continue working where you had left your work, then git stash apply command is used to bring back the saved changes onto your current working directory. The next question is, what work is restored when the deleted branch is recovered? So the files which were stashed and saved in the stash index list will be recovered back. Any untracked files will be lost. Also, it is a good idea to always stage and commit your work or stash them. So if you want to fetch the log references of a particular branch or a tag, then run the command git reflog and the reference name. So we will see about git reflog in the subsequent part of this session. Okay, so the next question is, explain the difference between git status and git diff. So git diff depicts the changes between the commits, commit and the working tree, etc. Whereas git status shows you the difference between the working directory and the index. Git status is helpful in understanding Git a bit more comprehensively. Git diff is similar to git status. The only difference is that it shows the differences between the various commits and also between the working directory and the index. The next question is, mention the differences between the git clone and git remote. So git remote creates an entry into your git config that specifies a name for a particular URL, whereas git clone creates a new git repository by copying an existing one located at the URL. The next question is, what is git stash drop? So git stash drop command is used to remove the stashed item. It will remove the last added stash item by default and it can also remove a specific item if you include it as an argument. The next question is, how do you find a list of file that has changed in a particular commit? So to get a list of file that has changed in a particular commit, use the command, as you can see here on this slide, git diff tree -r and the hash. So given the commit hash, this will list all the files that were changed or added in that commit. The -r flag makes the command list individual files rather than collapsing them into the root directory names only. You can also include the below mentioned point, although it is totally optional, but this will help you impress the interviewer. So the output will also include some extra information which can be easily suppressed by including two flags. So as you can see here on the screen, this command, here you have included two flags, the no commit ID and the name only. So here the no commit ID will suppress the commit hashes from appearing in the output, and the name only flag will only print the name of the files instead of their paths. The next question is, what is the function of git config? So Git uses your username to associate commits with an identity. The git config command can be used to change your Git configuration, including your username. So suppose you want to give a username and an email ID to associate a commit with an identity so that you can know who has made a particular commit. So for that, there are two commands, as you can see on this slide, git config -global user.name and your name that you want to give to the user, and then the email. So the command for that is git config global user.email and your email address. So the next question is, what does the commit object contain? So commit object basically contains three components. First, a set of files representing the state of a project at any given point of time. The second one is the reference to the parent commit objects. And the third one is an SHA1 name, which is a 40-character string that uniquely identifies the commit object. The next question is, describe the branching strategies that you have used. So this question is asked to test your branching experience with Git. So here we are going to discuss the three branches, starting with the first one, that is a feature branching. So a feature branch model keeps all of the changes for a particular feature inside of a branch. When the feature is fully tested and validated by automated tests, the branch is then merged into the master. The second is the task branching. In this model, each task is implemented on its own branch with the task key included in the branch name. It is easy to see which code implements which task by just looking at the task key in the branch name. And the third branching is the release branching. Once the develop branch has acquired enough features for a release, you can clone that branch to form a release branch. Creating this branch starts the next release cycle, so no new features can be added after this point. Only bug fixes, documentation generation, and other release-oriented tasks should go in this branch. Once it is ready to ship, the release gets merged into the master and tagged with a version number. In addition, it should be merged back into the develop branch, which may have progressed since the release was initiated. So this was about the branching strategies. Okay, so the next question is, explain the advantages of forking workflow. There is a fundamental difference between the forking workflow and the other popular Git workflows. Rather than using a single server side to act as a central code base, it gives every developer their own server-side repository. The forking workflow is commonly seen in public open source projects. A crucial advantage of forking workflow is that contributions can be generated even without needing everybody to push to a single central repository that leads to the clean project history. Developers can push to their own server-side repositories, but only the project maintainer can push to the official repository. If developers are ready to publish a local commit, then they push the commit to their own public repository and not the official one. So after this, they go for a pull request with the main repository that lets the project maintainer know an update is ready to be integrated. So these were a few advantages of forking workflow. So the next question is, how will you know in Git if a branch has already been merged into the master? So the answer to this is pretty direct. So there are two commands to check this. The first command is the git branch -merged. So this command lists the branches that have been merged into the current branch. And the second one is the git branch -no-merged. So this command lists the branches that have not been merged. The next question is, why is it desirable to create an additional commit rather than amending an existing commit? So there are two reasons for this question. So the first one, the amend operation destroys the state that was previously saved in a commit. If there is just the commit message that is being changed, then that is not a problem. But if the contents are being amended, then the chances of eliminating something important remains more. The second reason is that abusing git --amend command can result in the growth of a small commit and acquire unrelated changes. The next question is, what does hook comprise of in Git? This directory consists of shell scripts that are activated if you run the corresponding Git commands. For example, Git will try to execute the post commit script after you have run a commit. The next question is, in Git, how would you return a commit that has just been pushed and made open? So one or more commits can be reverted through the use of git revert. This command in a true sense creates a new commit with patches that cancel out the changes introduced in the specific commits. If in case the commit that needs to be reverted has already been published or changing the repository history is not an option, then in such cases, git revert command can be used to revert the commits. So alternatively, there is always an option to check out the state of a particular commit from the past and commit it anew. The next question is how to remove a file from Git without removing it from your file system. So one has to be very careful during a git add, else you may end up adding the files that you didn't want to commit. However, git rm command will remove it from both your staging area as well as your file system, but this may not be what you want. So instead you can use the command, as you can see here, git reset file or the echo file name and .git ignore. So this means that git reset is exactly opposite to the git add command. So the next question is, could you explain the Git workflow? So to record the history of the project, Git workflow employs two parallel long-running branches. The first one is the master branch and the second one is the develop branch. So the master branch is always ready to be released on live with everything fully tested and approved. That is production ready state. The hotfix branch in master is used to quickly patch the production release. These branches are a lot like the release branches and the feature branches, except that they are based on master instead of the develop. And the second branch is the develop branch. This is the branch to which all the feature branches are merged and where all the tests are performed. Only when everything's been thoroughly checked and fixed, it can be merged into the master. Here there's one more branch called feature branch. So each new feature should reside in its own branch, which can be pushed to develop branch as their parent one. So the next question is, explain the difference between the head, working tree and index. So guys, you can refer the diagram that is on your slide for clear understanding. The working tree or the working directory or the workspace is the directory of source files that you're able to see and edit. So the index or the staging area is a single large binary file which lists all the files in the current branch, their SHA1 checksums, timestamps and the file name. It is not another directory which contains a copy of files within it, whereas head is used to refer to the last commit in the currently checked out branch. So the next question is, what is the difference between fork, branch and clone? A fork is a copy of a repository. Normally you fork a repository so that you're able to freely experiment with changes without affecting the original project. Most commonly, forks are either used to propose changes to someone else's project or to use someone else's project as a starting point of your own idea. Git cloning means pointing to an existing repository and make a copy of that repository in a new directory at some other location. The original repository can be located on the local file system or on the remote machine, accessible supported protocols. The git clone command is used to create a copy of an existing Git repository. In very simple word, Git branches are individual projects within a Git repository. Different branches within a Git repository can have completely different files and folders, or it could have everything the same except for some lines of code in a particular file. The next question is, what are the different ways by which you can refer to a commit? So in Git, each commit has a unique hash. These hashes are used to identify the corresponding commits in various scenarios. For example, while trying to check out a particular state of a code using the git checkout hash command. Along with this, Git maintains a number of aliases to certain commits known as the refs. Also, every tag that is created in this repository effectively becomes a ref, and that is exactly why you can use tags instead of committing hashes in various Git commands. So Git also maintains a number of special aliases that are changed based on the state of the repository. So in Git, commits are allowed to be referred to as relative to one another. In case of merge commits, where the commit has two parents, the raise to sign can be used to select one of the two parents. However, these can also be used to refer to commits that reside on remote branches, allowing one to control and manipulate them from the local Git environment. The next question is, what is the difference between rebasing and merging? So in Git, the rebase command is used to integrate changes from one branch into another. It is an alternative to the merge command. The difference between rebasing and merging is that rebase rewrites the commit history in order to produce a straight linear succession of commits. Merging is Git's way of putting a forked history back together again. The git merge command helps you take the independent lines of development created by Git branch and integrate them into a single branch. The next question is, mention the difference between revert and reset. So reset is used to return the entire working tree to the last committed state. This will scrap commits in a private branch or throw away uncommitted changes. Reset changes which commit a branch head is currently pointing at. It alters the existing commit history. So this command can also be used to unstage a file. Whereas git revert command creates a new commit that undergoes the changes from a previous commit. So this command adds new history to the project. It doesn't modify the existing history. Now we will talk about the advanced level of interview questions. So the question here is how to squash last n commits into a single commit. So there are two options to squash last n commits into a single commit, and you should mention both of these options while answering such questions. So in the first option, if you want to write the new commit message from scratch, you should use the following command. As you can see here on the screen, git reset, soft head, and git commit. And in the second option, if you want to start editing the new commit message with a concatenation of the existing commit messages, then you need to extract those messages and pass them to git commit. And for this purpose, you will use the command git reset, soft head, and this command git commit edit -m and the entire log command, git log, format, reverse, and the name of the head. The next question is, what is git bisect? How can you use it to determine the source of a bug? So git bisect is used to find the commit that introduced a bug by using a binary search. So the command for git bisect is pretty simple. As you can see on this slide, git bisect, subcommand, and the options. This command uses a binary search algorithm to find out which commit in your project's history introduced a bug. You can use it by first telling it a bad commit that is known to contain a bug and a good commit that is known to be before the bug was introduced. Then git bisect picks the commit between these two endpoints and asks you whether the selected commit is good or bad. So it continues narrowing down the range until it finds the exact commit that introduced the change. So the next question is, how do you integrate Git with Jenkins? So as you can see on the slide, these are the 4 steps that you can follow to integrate Git with Jenkins. And I'm also going to show you the screenshots for these 4 steps. So for anyone who's aware of Jenkins or has used Jenkins, you must be aware of this homepage or the Jenkins dashboard. So here you need to click on Manage Jenkins. And once you click on Manage Jenkins, you'll find this option here, the Manage Plugins option. Click on that. And then you will have to search for the plugin here. As you can see in this screenshot, click on this plugin. And here you have these 2 options, install without restart, download now, and install after restart. So you can choose any one of them. And once you're done with that, here you will be able to see this plugin that we have just downloaded along with its version number. So these are the steps that you must follow to integrate Git with Jenkins. So the next question is, how do you configure a repository to run code sanity checking tools right before making commits? So here you must first mention what exactly is sanity checking. A sanity or a smoke test determines whether it is possible and reasonable to continue testing. And now you must explain how do you achieve this. So this can be done with a simple script related to the pre-commit hook of the repository. The pre-commit hook is triggered right before a commit is made, even before you're required to enter a commit message. So in this script, one can run other tools such as linters and perform sanity checks on the changes being committed into the repository. So as you can see here, this is the script that I'm talking about. The purpose of the script is that it checks to see if any .go file that is about to be committed needs to be passed through the standard Go source code formatting tool. By exiting with a non-zero status, the script effectively prevents the commit from being applied to the repository. The next question is, what is git cherry pick? The command git cherry pick is normally used to introduce a particular commit from one branch within a repository onto a different branch. Another common use of this command is to forward or backport commits from a maintenance branch to a development branch. This is in contrast with the other ways such as merge and rebase, which normally apply many commits onto the another branch. So the syntax for this command is very simple. You just need to type git space cherry-pick space the commit hash. The next question is, what is git reflog? The reflog command keeps a track of every single change made in the references, that is the branches or the tags of a repository, and keeps a log history of the branches and the tags that were either created locally or checked out. Reference logs such as the commit snapshot of when the branch was created or cloned, checked out, renamed, or any commits made on the branch are maintained by Git and listed by the reflog command. So this command must be executed in the repository that has the lost branch. So if you consider the remote repository situation, then you have to execute the reflog command on the developer's machine who had the branch. So the next question is how to recover a deleted branch using the git reflog command. So here, as you can see on the screen, these are the 3 steps that you must follow to recover a deleted branch. And I'm also going to show you the screenshots. Okay. So in the first step, you get the history logs of all the references. For that, you just need to type git reflog. And once you type this command, you can see the history log. In the second step, you need to identify the timestamp of the branch that you want to recover. So here in this case, this is the timestamp that we are looking for, the pre-prod branch. Here in the third step, you just need to use the command git checkout-b and the branch name. This is a pointer reference when the pre-prod branch was created. So if you follow these 3 steps, you will be able to recover the deleted branch. So the last question of this session, that is, mention some of the git reflog subcommands. So as you can see on the screen, these are the commands that we will talk about, 4 to 5 commands. The first command is git reflog help. So this command is used to open up the manual page. The second command is the git reflog show. So this command shows the logs of the references provided in the command line. The third command is the git reflog expire. So this command is used to prune the older reflog entries. The fourth command is the git reflog delete. So as the name suggests, this command deletes single entries from the reflog history. And the fifth command is git reflog exists. So this command checks whether a reference, that is a branch or a tag, has a reflog log history entries. So these were a few commands like git reflog subcommands that you can answer in this question. So with this, we have come to the end of this session. I hope you have enjoyed this session. If you have any queries related to this session, you can post them in the comment box below and we will try to get back to you as early as possible. Till then, happy learning. Thank you.
I hope you have enjoyed listening to this video. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries and we will reply them at the earliest. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to Edureka channel to learn more. Happy learning!